Plus Sports Special on a Saturday morning on PlusTvAfrica. My name is Wally Scott. Welcome on the show. Bukayo Tinubu.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome on the show. And now, things are going to be, are going to get very bumpy for Gernot Rohr very soon. And like I predicted, like you predicted too, like all of us on the show predicted on most Saturday shows. Now, Super Eagles midfielder Alex Iwobi will miss Nigeria's Qatar 2022 World Cup qualifiers against Central African Republic over 2 legs. 24-year-old is one of the 5 midfielders named by Gernot Rohr for the games billed for the test in Balogun Stadium on October 7th and in Douala, Cameroon 3 days later. According to the Eagles coach, Gernot Rohr, the Everton star will not travel down for the game as he's nursing a little injury. Ogenekaro Etebo, Wilfred Ndidi, and Kingsley Mkel also missed out on the games against Central African Republic due to injuries. Now, the dice casts. We have consistently advised. Journalists across Nigeria have told Gernot Rohr, guy, get on the field of play, first off, technically, I can't speak for his abilities as technically as a coach, because first off, I have never known Gernot Rohr's plan B in a match. Okay, if this fails, I'll go this way. I don't know it. I don't think he has any. Now, for players too, we've always told him, anything could go wrong. Don't get stuck on the way somewhere when it gets to qualifiers or big matches. Yes, as much as they don't have the experience and the expertise you need and you want, just have them on standby, just in case something goes wrong. Now, these are the core of Gernot Rohr's team. The heart of our midfield, the heartbeat of the Super Eagles midfield is Wilfred Ndidi. The only other person who can actually replace him in case he's not there is Ogenekaro Etebo.
And they're both.
The person who makes the runs from the midfield up front to get the balls to the strikers is Alex Iwobi. These are the heartbeats of this team. Love it or leave it.
You know, if Gernot Rohr had made the kinds of consistent missteps that he has with the national team, or with any other national team, he would already be gone. The fact is, we see how youth development has worked in other countries, like Germany. A 17-year-old player makes his international debut, and he's playing for the first team. Here, even if you say you're not as secure with some of the local players who are playing for Aqua United and the likes, there are youngsters who are still vying to improve, who haven't learned a lot of bad habits that you could bring in. We see, for example, how Jude Bellingham is in Dortmund, a 16-year-old who is playing in German football, but he's playing consistently and he's making it into the national team. He's making it into the England first team, first 11, playing alongside players who are 21 and over. There's no reason why Gernot Rohr doesn't have a plan B, either for selection or even tactical approaches regarding matches. So if he was, I think it's because Nigeria, the NFF, the way they've managed our national team, only they can allow a manager get away with these kinds of missteps. Otherwise, he would be gone.
Wow. Now, my question would be, there's no way Gernot Rohr will not have to fall back to a few home-based players now, because a large amount of the team is gone. I think he's lucky. He's lucky that if he can win home and away, he's home and dry. But then what does he's in the World Cup already.
But then what does it say to those home-based players that I will only pick you as backup options? I will not
when someone is injured. Yeah.
When someone is injured, what happens when such a player decides, you know what, I'm not available this weekend. I'm not available this week, this international...
yeah, but you and I know that they won't do that. Not because they are patriotic, of course not. Because they feel playing for the Super Eagles will be the perfect supermarket to sell myself. That's the only reason. It has nothing to do with patriotism at all. They just feel like, well, that's the perfect stall to place my wares and let the world see what I can do. But at the end of the day,
Gernot Rohr's behavior contributes
But we have heard players, home-based players, and the home-based player who complained then has not been called to the Super Eagles again since then. That's the vindictive nature of Nigeria. The guy said, I am tired of being training material for the Super Eagles. You guys call 40 players to camp. The home base ones train with the foreign base when we know fully well that we are only training material. When push comes to shove, when the match wants to start, you tell us to go back to our base and you take the foreign base players abroad. For how long? Then my question is, I still want to ask that question. And maybe we should call Seun Ajidagba on the phone. You know, maybe I think Seun might explain to us in the contract, Gernot Rohr's contract. Is there a possibility?
I doubt it.
That they didn't tell him that, listen, you must also improve. Maybe Maiwa will help call. We'll try and see if we can call Seun Ajidagba on the phone and see if we can
because
ask him.
The way I see it, ordinarily, the body, the FA, should not have control over what players a national team manager gets to pick. That said, if you're trying to establish a project to build up the national team, to build up the academy, to build up a long-term project for the nation, you're going to hire a manager that agrees to such a term as to allow certain players come into the national team and stay within the national team.
I'll come back to you. Seun Ajidagba, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Wale.
Thank you, Seun, for being on standby at short notice. You're always on standby for us. God bless you.
You know, I'm always your boy.
Yes, sir.
I'm responsible to PlusSport on PlusTV.
Yes, sir. Now, Seun, we're asking a question. Pep Guardiola is stuck somewhere again. His major players, his heartbeat in the midfield, Wilfred Ndidi, is injured. Alex Iwobi, that gets the ball from the midfield to the front to the strikers, is injured. Ogenere Karo Etebo, who would have been replacement for Wilfred in the match, is injured. Now he has to fall back to the home base players. My question this morning is, in the contract signed by Gernot Rohr, they didn't tell him to actually improve the league while he's the coach of the Super Eagles, our home league.
My honest truth is, you know my position as per Gernot Rohr, that all we are playing is vibes and inshallah. If you have been at the job for 5 years and we have not seen any meaningful contribution to the national team, then why are you still holding on to the job? So I want to cite a simple example. If a child gets an admission into a university to study engineering, law, or environmental science, which are courses that you would study for 5 years, if you don't have any carryover or there is no problem in the school, you should finish in 5 years now. So Gernot Rohr has been on the saddle for 5 years and it keeps chopping and changing. Today you see Bonke, tomorrow you see Boniface, next tomorrow you see Wale Scott. Where is the team? We cannot see an identification of where you are taking us to. So for me, we are playing Central African Republic, for crying out loud. This is a team that our home-based players, if things were done properly, should be able to take care of. And it's nothing short of 4 points from 2 games. But because you don't have belief in the local-based players, that's why we're having this problem. I got so upset that I was doing a research about this African Nations Championship, which is for home-based Eagles. The first edition in 2009, which Libya won, Nigeria did not qualify. But guess what? We went for the next edition that we had late Smereck in 2014, take us to 3rd place in South Africa. Even Sunday Olise took us to Rwanda, though he didn't get out of the group stage. Salisu Yusuf took us to the one in Morocco where we came 2nd. Imama Amakpakabo, although that one failed in flying colors, okay, about Journey, he didn't even qualify at all for the tournament in Cameroon. Now it came down to Gernot Rohr. When he gets to home-based players, we will not be there. Even your assistant, who is supposed to even take charge, in person of Joseph Yobo. The last time when they went to Mexico, they were trained by the technical advisor of the Nigerian Football Federation, and that was Augustine Egavon, to be assisted by Paul Aigogun. Although Egavon did not eventually get visa. The question now is, we saw a Joseph Yobo analyzing European Championship. This one now again that they are going to DR Congo, they will be coached by Egavon and Aigogun. What is the job of Yobo? Is it to be arranging cones like last night official? What is his job in the national team? So if you are now worried that there is no Ndidi, there is no Sebo, there is no Iwobi for Central African Republic. So when we want to play Brazil, what will you do? Finally, I tell you what, if General is to play Plus Sports on Plus TV, what you might go foreign base one.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Now, Mkel, Seun has said the bulk of what we are talking about here, and we're getting somewhere. But basically, my point is, just like every other leader in Nigeria, you know, every sphere, not only sports now, our leaders have this attitude of, I've done what I want to do. I don't care what you think. You can't do anything to me. Same thing, that Amaju-Pinnick attitude, that attitude of, what can you do to me? That is what I want to do, and you can't do it. And that's why I don't like the man very much, you know. But even that attitude has now stuck with Genoro now. Genoro has this attitude of, I will only bring foreign-based players. Whether he plays in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Pakistan, I will bring him, and he will play. And there's nothing you guys can do to me. How can you shamefully coach a national team and you don't have any positive input in their home league? Who does that?
He has managed the national team as though he has contempt for the homegrown players.
Yes.
And unfortunately, no one has put forth any consequences for his missteps. The NFF have not done anything to rein in or advise or push agendas that will show that there's a direction. With what Seun has said, even Yobo isn't doing his job. He's off doing something else while he's meant to be on duty with the national team. So it tells you that everyone, the national team management is a free-for-all. Everyone is doing whatever they want to do, regardless of what is essential to be done for the team to win. Because ultimately, our NFF, the governing body, isn't putting any consequences in place.
Okay, now, the match everybody is waiting for this weekend, the cracker, on Sunday, that's tomorrow. Now, Pep Guardiola has played down the idea of Anfield being intimidating ahead of Manchester City's Sunday Premier League trip to Liverpool. He says City's poor record there ended by a 4-1 win last season without fans and was mainly due to Jurgen Klopp's side being an exceptional team. The Spaniard defended Raheem Sterling's recent performances, saying he did exactly what the team needed against the Paris Saint-Germain, and added he was incredibly happy with their efforts there in defeat, as well as their Premier League victory at Chelsea. Now, Seun, Pep Guardiola admits that Liverpool, when they played them last season, were an exceptional team, and they lost 4-1. But he says this time around, Man City is a different team, Liverpool are a different team too. And they will take something out of that game tomorrow.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't envy Pep Guardiola because he had a difficult run of 3 away games. Last week, we saw what happened against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. It was a masterclass performance. They dominated Chelsea and debarred them from even having any shot on target. So it was safe to say that if Pep Guardiola had fielded a pregnant woman who was 8 months, the only stretch he would have had is just to go and pick the ball from corner and try to play a goal kick. So it was that bad. But again, the scoreline did not reflect how dominant they were. And that, once again, highlights the fact that Man City does not have a center number 9, a prolific goal scorer. Because you cannot leave your goals for a Gabriel Jesus. If they had gotten maybe an Hurricane or a Cristiano Ronaldo or an Haaland, you will have said that they have a fantastic number 9. Because if the way they dominated Chelsea, they had prolific strikers, you will have beat them like 6-7. You also saw what happened in the midweek at Parc des Princes. They dominated Paris Saint-Germain. Forget about the scoreline. But again, they didn't have that focal number 9, which affected them. Now they are going to Anfield. Former champions versus current champions. Legendary Samuel Eto'o said there are some stadiums you don't even want to go near. One of such is Anfield. The noise there can cause problem for your hearing threshold. Shakhtar Donetsk is another place you don't want to go to at all. Galatasaray is another place you don't want to go to. You know, those places are very, very vociferous when their fans are on rampage. it will be difficult for them because Liverpool are playing some awesome football now. They have Virgil van Dijk back, which makes the defense solid. Though they'll still be missing Trent Alexander-Arnold, but I think that they've got a James Milner who can even feel that. You saw how they destroyed Sporting Lisbon or UFC Porto, bashed them anyhow. Salah, Mane, Firmino, Jota are on fire. The YouTuber side of me is telling me that Liverpool will not lose this game.
I'll come to you, Seun. Mkel, if we're to count the first three-punched attack in Europe today, they will be first three. If after we look at Kylian Mbappe, Lionel Messi, and Neymar, we'll look at Firmino, Sadio Mane, and Mo Salah.
Yes.
And it is one thing for sure. Man City, like Seun was identified, definitely don't have an assassin up front. Yeah. Someone who can nail it when they needs to be nailed. They don't have that. But even if they do score Liverpool, one thing is sure, they will score back.
Well, I've said this to friends in the past. Every time Liverpool play at home, you see they always have someone whose memory they're remembering. Someone has just passed, or someone passed 10 years ago to the day. I swear to God, that Anfield sits on top of a graveyard of Anfield legends. Yeah. And that's why you never walk alone. They never walk alone there because ghosts.
That's what they mean, yeah.
Yeah, ghosts are playing the football with them.
Yeah.
So,
and it's the film I watched about Liverpool,
yeah. So Liverpool, you can't go to Anfield and expect to play your game. Even when it was the team under Brendan Rodgers, the team under Kenny Dalglish, you saw that every time the big clubs came to Anfield to play, the tempo of the football changed. The atmosphere became more intense. It's reminiscent of the atmosphere that you get at Dortmund Stadium. They have some of the best atmosphere, and they drown out the opposing team's fan base and keep you intimidated on the pitch until
for 90 minutes.
For 90 minutes until their team wins. Either they win or they draw, but you're not winning.
Okay, we'll go to the fixtures for today and tomorrow's matches, but this man is under fire. Somebody has to quench it for him quickly. Arsenal manager Mkel Arteta has said that he's teaching his young forwards in his team to become more consistent. Both Bukayo Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe were on the score sheet in the Gunners' North London derby win over Tottenham last weekend. But Arteta has asked for them to do more regularly, saying that when you play for top clubs, those players have to decide football matches week in, week out. The Spaniard also talked about other players stepping up to be leaders after his vice-captain Granit Xhaka suffered a knee injury against Spurs and has been ruled out for up to 3 months. Now, Seun, this guy is in more trouble. We know for one that Arsene Wenger believed more in youths and he groomed them from scratch to the top. Now, Arteta is saying the same thing. He says his youngsters in the team must get consistency in their book and step up. He needs them to play well week in, week out.
I agree with him. After losing the first 3 matches, which was a worse start for Arsenal in a long time, losing to Brentford, who came into the Premier League for the first time in 74 years, lost to Chelsea, lost to City. You know, they found their way back when they had that relegation 6-pointer battle against Norwich. Got themselves back against Burnley, which was a difficult game, before they now won against Tottenham in the North London derby, which was the first time they'll be conceding in 3 matches. Like I want to agree with the coach. They need to be more consistent because this is, as early as the season, it's already squeaky bum time. Nobody wants to lose games because once you lose games, you'll be far from the chasing pack. Arsenal, by virtue of beating Tottenham Hotspur last weekend, they moved into 10th position. And I'm sure they want to continue to move on that upward trajectory.
Of course.
Because the team that is topping the Premier League is leading them with just about some 5 points, which is Liverpool, 14 points. So they need to get some run of consistency. And I want to agree with the coach. But it's not going to come easy because Brighton and Hove Albion missed a chance on Monday night to have gone top of the Premier League if they are beating Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. But I'm sure they will be very happy with that last-minute goal by Neil Murphy. So it's going to be a tough game. The guys will come at them. Graham Potter has done a fantastic job for Brighton and Hove Albion. And I'm sure that we are going to enjoy an entertaining game. But something still tells me that the momentum is still with Arsenal.
Now let's look at fixtures for today's matches and of course tomorrow's matches, and then we'll try and analyze each match and see what to expect in and hopefully the guys who like I don't bet, I don't like it. Hopefully the guys who bet can actually watch and get a few tips. Maybe they will win or something.
We'll see.
And they'll send to us if they do. Fixtures for the English Premier League matches should be up. Yes, it's up now. Now, Man United will take on Everton in a few minutes.
I believe Everton will push Man United, but I think the momentum that Man United have gained from overcoming Villarreal in midweek and Ronaldo's natural leadership will propel them to a win. It will be more than one goal.
Seun, in about an hour, exactly an hour, Man United take on Everton at Old Trafford.
Difficult game for Manchester United. You know, Everton has always been a boogie team. Last season, it was that tough also. At Old Trafford, Man U could not beat them. They only went to Goodison Park to beat them. And the guys had adapted so very well under Rafa Benitez. I was listening to Redmond, the man from Southampton who joined them, said the coach has really done a fantastic job on the team. Yes, they are missing their top man in Kevin Lewin. But when you've got players like Richarlison, you know, Dokore, who can bust everywhere, fantastic players who can also come to the party, a goalkeeper like Jordan Pickford, their central defense who have also, you know, adapted very well, the kings of this world, the Bengoffries. I know it's going to be difficult. Manchester United, my problem with them is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should have been a gunner, because I said it even when they defeated Villarreal, that Ole is a no way. The only way is for Ole to get away. Because he's not pulling his way in that team. If a team is not playing a counter-attacking football like he loves to play, if they sit back to allow them to come at them, it's a difficult conundrum for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I don't think he has a plan B other than that counter-attacking football. Ronaldo has scored most of their goals. The only game Ronaldo did not score was last weekend against Aston Villa, which they actually shambolic. At Old Trafford, they have not exhumed any confidence. Teams just walk there and get results. So it's going to be a difficult game, but I'm sure that the coach knows that he needs to get a result and then push himself upward, because anything can happen between Liverpool and Manchester City. If he wins, they go top. But it's only when he's back, he's against the wall, he just springs a result for you. And I think you will come out of when you have a player like Cristiano Ronaldo.
Now, you're a Chelsea fan, Mkel, and you guys are beating your chest again. But of course, I'm sure you know better. That when you play a team like Southampton, you can't afford to be too boastful.
No, but then again...
At Stamford Bridge, that is.
Yes, but then again, Southampton have lost a lot of games this season already.
But you know how it is with these teams when they play big teams.
Yeah, but it's not... Okay, so it's not their natural state of play to defend deep and try to counter-attack. They will come out to play open football, but that will also play into Chelsea's hands. Chelsea have gone up against two different styles in the last week. Pep Guardiola's Man City that played on the front foot and pressured them throughout the game and tried to keep them from getting the ball up front, playing the ball out of the back. With Juventus, they went up against a team that played basically with anywhere between 7 and 9 defenders, crowding out Lukaku and preventing regular movement of the ball to him. But Southampton don't have the energy or the level of proficiency when it comes to pressing game.
Okay, let's look at the next match. That was Southampton against Chelsea. Now, Wolves against Newcastle. Burnley against Norwich City. Leeds take on Watford, and Brighton and Hove take on Arsenal. Now, Tottenham. Tottenham take on Aston Villa at White Hart Lane.
We don't know which sports will turn up, boom. I was saying it last weekend, that when Nuno Espirito Santo wants to lose, he loses in flying colors. 3-0, 3-0. The other game he lost was against Crystal Palace. 3-0. He lost at home against Chelsea 3-0. Last weekend also, he lost 3-1. He managed to score because of a goal from Son. And one thing is that whenever they lose, they always concede 3 in one single half. They are just shambolic when it comes to it. So I don't know which Tottenham will turn up, although they had a very wonderful result in the Conference League on Thursday. But you ask yourself, which team did they play? Mura, they are nobody. So it's going to be difficult for them. And Aston Villa are still basking in that euphoria of coming to Old Trafford to get a result. I'm sure it's going to be a very difficult game. But I expect Tottenham with Harry Kane and Son to come to the party.
These guys are making headlines with neon lights right now. Brentford. They've told the world we have come to stay.
They play a similar style of football to Liverpool, a Gengen press. And you see that when they counter-attack, they usually get the ball up front to their strikers. The combination between those two has been very efficient for them, and they will always surprise any big team that thinks they're going to come to beat Brentford. Is silly. So they're one of the new teams, promoted teams to watch out for, just as we were excited to watch Leeds last season because of how they played with no fear. Brentford played the same way, no fear.
Wow. Okay, now let's go to some tennis. Seun Ajidagba, thank you very much for joining us on the show this morning. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Ali.
Thank you very much. Some tennis now. Marcus Giron of the United States reached his first tour-level semi-finals on Friday with a 6-1, 6-2 win over 8th seed John Millman at the Sofia Open. The American next faces number 2 seed Gael Monfils, who also punched his ticket to the semis with a 6-2, 6-2 win over Italy's Gianluca Maga. Maga's compatriots are number one seed Yannick Sinner, however, was through after a touch-and-go 7-6-4, 6-4 win over Australia's James Duckworth. Sinner will face the winner of Kamil Maczak of Poland and Serbia's Filip Krajinovic in the second semi-finals. Now, most of these guys playing this are actually playing to get Ghana points, you know, for the end of the year, Ghana points and everything. And I'm a big fan of Gael Monfils. Of course, Yannick Sinner is beginning to make my day these days too. And these are guys who we're expecting that should actually take over from the Djokovic, the Federer, the Nadals, but they've not gotten to that. There's this particular level you look up to those guys, and these guys just aren't there. You can't find the quality those guys had at their age. There's no spark. I don't even know what I mean.
Yeah, there are two ways to go about it. Either you have the talent from the ground up and you're doing things ahead of your time, ahead of everybody else in your age group, or you find consistency through time, gather as much momentum, and manage to gain the kind of experience that will make you solid against all kinds of oppositions. Some players are instinctive. The nature of how they play, they have all the power, all the pace, all the natural talent. Others have to be more cerebral in how they play. So they have to gain the playing experience in order to attack different situations, different players with the right tactic.
So can you just identify one of these young talents? Who have you seen that spark? Just good. Is it Duckworth? Is it the South Korean guy who beat Duckworth in the finals last week? Because we've got too many tournaments going right now. This is the Sofia Open in Bulgaria. There's the San Diego Open in the US. Different opens, and I just can't see a spark in any of them that can say, okay, good, this might be a future Djokovic or a future Federer or a future...
Well, I would ask you not to look for the spark, because spark it doesn't last. Djokovic did not have the spark to begin with. But as soon as he managed to reach the level he's at right now, he caught up to his peers. He caught up to Federer and Nadal very quickly. And he's now competing with them and looks more likely to
surpass them,
surpass them. I would say don't look for the spark, because a spark goes out quickly. It's, as they say, 15 minutes of fame. If you look for the spark, then you'll be disappointed ultimately, because someone like Andy Murray had the spark in the beginning, but injuries caught up to him. On the other hand, someone like someone like Federer and Djokovic had to learn over time and became more skillful. Federer had more skill, more talent, natural talent than Djokovic, but Djokovic looks like the longer-lasting flame. So ultimately, you should look for the flame, not the spark.
Okay, now, this is a lot of sad news for me this morning. And this is something that it hurts. When even on air, if you can hear my voice, you can see it hurts me. Now, the Ukrainian Hockey League player, Jalen Smereck, has said on Friday he would return to the ice despite an opponent targeting him with racist behavior. But the American said reform was long overdue for the sport. A video showing HC Kremenchuk forward Andrea Deniskin peeling and eating a banana in a gesture directed towards the HC Donetsk defenseman, who is black, during a game shocked the global hockey community this week and prompted outcry over racism in the sport. Deniskin was suspended for 13 games, only 3 of which are mandatory, if he pays an additional fine, 50,000 hryvnia, that's about $1,900 only. Fine, leading to further outrage as critics, including numerous National Hockey League's players, called the penalty too lenient. Smereck said Deniskin had not reached out to him directly, aside from an attempted apology immediately after the game. So angry right now. Why? Because of all the racist abuses I've seen and heard in my life, I've only heard of bananas being thrown from the stands into the field, and then somebody, Daniel Alves, picks it up and eats it, and then chants and all that, and they cover their faces and chants. They're cowards. Some of them even have to wear masks and chant. This guy is an opponent in the other team on the same ice hockey court, and he walks up to an opponent and peels a banana. This is the most obvious I've seen in my life. The
audacious nature of that stunt is
the
very reason why the punishment has to be stiffer than a 13-game ban, whereas
$1,900 though. You don't understand? $1,900 and he only gets 3.
Yeah, and only 3 of the 13 games are mandatory. What, the rest of the other 10 are optional? And then what bothers me is that when we hear about situations like, oh, people get into fights in the public, in the general public, the courts send, no matter what your defense is for why you maybe had to get into a fight because of provocations or whatever, the court usually mandates you to go into counseling, into anger management counseling. These kinds of situations are the very reasons why counseling should matter. Aside from the ban, aside from the fine, there should be counseling. And the ban shouldn't be optional. It should serve a stiff penalty. The game he loves so much that he disrespected, in the course of disrespecting a fellow human being, he should have to walk away from it, at least for a time sufficient enough for him to recognize that there are consequences.
How can you tell a child to kneel down and put his hands up and say, okay, but you can lean on the wall if you want?
It doesn't make any sense. The only way it makes sense is that the organizers, the administrators don't actually care about the issue.
True that. So sad. And I apologize. I shouldn't be leaving you with that kind of sad news, but it's unfortunate. Racism is still there. And people are complaining and saying, listen, the punishment is just too little. And because it's not enough punishment, it will continue. I think we got to look for stiffer penalties, yes.
I mean, in sports, if the... remember when Suarez bit Evra?
Yeah.
The punishment was 8 games, and he served all 8 games. And even when he transferred to another league, he had to continue to serve it. When he supposedly made a racist gesture, he served all of his period. But this, because hockey is still very much a white man's sport, so the nature of, a black man comes to play.
And when I saw this story this morning, I was like, oh, it's Ukraine.
And he's uncomfortable about a white man being racist to him, especially in Eastern European countries like Ukraine. Of course, they don't care about it. I wouldn't be surprised if this happened somewhere else. And we've seen that a lot of times in the Champions League, Eastern European teams do behave like this, and they get away with very lenient
So sad. Of course, Plus Sports Special and Plus TV Africa, thank you very much. Mkel. We had Seun Ajidagba on the phone. Thank you very much. Join us same time next week, same station. My name is Wally Scott. Like I always advise you, at the end of every show, if not for anything, at least for your heart, do some sports.